You're watching the Tesla Life Live with your host, Mark Cullen.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 273. Here we are on the 28th of September, 2022. Welcome to the show. And hello to Derek and Hockey Day, the first ones in the chat room that have joined us today. But let's start off with some intros. We got our announcer, Mr. Patrick Connor, joining us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir? Oh, Patrick, can you hear me?
Well, he did say no sound, and I had this YouTube in the background, so it was like everything was like on a slight delay.
Okay, so Patrick's running with no sound, but Casey can hear us.
We can hear him
today, sir.
I'm doing well. I'm coming to you from space. 10%. 10% of my packets are coming through StarLink because
you're
of the
breathing
Starlink...
quite normally from being in space,
right? 10% of my packets are coming from the Starlink high performance dish out back, and it's looking into a tree and some clouds right now.
Okay,
so it's doing surprisingly well considering that it's looking into a tree and some clouds.
Very good. So
Yeah.
So you've got the new dish, the bigger dish, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So is that square or is it?
It's nearly
rectangular?
square. It's nearly square. I think it's 2 or 4 inches short of square, but it's definitely almost two times the size of the regular one.
Yeah.
My wife said, "Whoa."
Yeah. So it's rather large.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost 2 feet square.
Okay. And do you have it? Do you have it mounted outside the house, or do you have it inside the house, pointing at a window?
Oh, it only works outside the house because it needs this one I think's got 150-degree field of view, whereas the regular one's got a 100-degree field of view. So it's on one of the gate posts. I could have put it on the fence post, but the lag bolt they gave me was like that. So I was like, So I put it on the gate post because it didn't go all the way through on that one.
Right. Oh, you want to be safe that it's secured nicely. Yes,
exactly. Especially since now we've got a big white square hanging up above the fence line, and the neighbors can see it without looking down on their windows.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Patrick can hear us or not.
I can finally hear you now.
We heard you do your intro.
He's back. Yeah, your intro got a little bit choppy, but how are you today, Patrick? How are things on the West Coast?
I'm good. It's a rainy fall day here in Oregon, so it's summer's over.
Yes, it is.
Fall is here.
Sun's already going down.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's summer's gone, my friends. Here we are at the end of September. October is going to be Saturday. So guess what? We're heading into the winter season.
Yep.
Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on which way you're looking at it.
Depending on how you feel about pumpkin latte.
Very good. All right, well, let's get right to it. Let's talk some stories that we picked up this week. First one we're going to talk a little bit about is about this article that has come to us from Teslarati. Superchargers are dwarfing competitors in size and cost efficiencies. So we have heard different aspects of this story over the past couple weeks. We know, for example, that Tesla had bid on some charger installs for the state of Texas. And there was a publishing of the amount of money that they were charging for their 250 volt chargers. And that amount was surprisingly low compared to the other bids that came in from other charger groups. So Tesla was bidding around $43,000 per stall. And the other groups were pushing over $130,000. So we had basically almost a 3-to-1 price point. And the surprising thing that we found a couple weeks ago was that Tesla's bid was not even accepted at the lower amount. The state decided to go with the higher priced infrastructure, and
It's so
companies.
cheap, it's got to be a scam.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's like, they're like, well, has Tesla ever installed a supercharger? I don't think so. There's no point in risking it. Let's make sure that they can actually do what they say they can do. So we'll go with another company that has
The largest installer in the world. They don't have any experience in this.
Yeah,
They're new to this bidding thing.
I've never seen a Tesla supercharger installed anywhere in the world, so I'm not risking our state money on that. So sounds like a bit of a whitewash there with the amount of money spent on this. A bit of a white elephant, that is. And then, of course, as we've seen over the past couple of weeks as well, the continual drumbeat of new superchargers opening and increased sizes of superchargers, in some cases, world-setting amounts in California, Arizona, has all contributed to this article, indicating how Tesla is really running away with the fast charger crown as they put out multiple sites with breakneck speed, cheaper amounts, and actually more stalls per location. And then on top of that, in some cases, announcing solar and backup for some of these sites. Obviously, we'd like them all to be that way, but you've got to start somewhere. So they are starting to do this, collecting some sunshine, putting it into a battery bank, and allowing that battery bank to shave off the peak charges that charger may be pulling from that local utility. Having some extra energy stored in a battery allows them to do that. So again, I don't see Tesla slowing down here at all. We've heard about the next version of supercharger coming. We've heard about the different the opening of the supercharger network to other electric vehicles. All this is happening all at the same time, and it's kind of exciting to watch here from the sidelines.
I'd say the only real disadvantage they have to the competition right at the moment is they don't have an 800-volt architecture available for the non-Teslas to charge on. And from my understanding, that none of the non-Teslas have plug-in charge yet. Once they get those two things in, I don't see the competition being able to point and say, "Oh yeah, they can't do this. We're faster. We're cheaper." Well, they could probably say we're cheaper, but they would be probably doing a loss leader thing to get that to happen. And I mean, yeah, everybody else can have solar, but how many of them actually have batteries? And the ones that do, how many of them are not Tesla batteries?
How many of them are Tesla Megapacks?
A lot of them have Megapacks. It's like,
exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is again, this is kind of something that we're watching in real time, and as one of our stories a little bit later today has indicated, as the U.S. infrastructure for charging continues to grow out, I think Tesla is going to be playing a larger and larger role, although probably not in Texas, based on what we saw previously. But let's hope that the other states realize what Tesla has been doing, the price points they're offering, and the type of response they can provide for the charging network, how quickly they can put an actual supercharger up and play, and all the components are made right here in North America. So they're pulling them from their Buffalo plant. So this another plus. American jobs are being used to produce these and install them. So
Buffalo and Sparks. I don't know how Sparks got back into superchargers after it went to New York, but they did. Unless this is like their plan is like every supercharger has a pair, and just in case something happens, we got you covered. We can run on one leg if we got to.
Right.
Derek Ludwig says, as you know, California pulled up to stoplight yesterday. 3-line. That's awesome. Felt like small army. That's incredible. You brought up Tesla and Texas, and I'm just dumbfounded. Like, hey, come to Texas. We want you. Oh, but we don't want you to actually do any work. We just want your money.
We want your jobs. We don't want you to sell cars. We don't want you to sell to Texans. We don't want you, we don't want to spend any money buying your chargers. It's a crazy situation, is it not? Like we see this.
Oh, and if you want to help
board.
us shore up our rickety power grid, you're gonna have to do it under another company name.
That's amazing, and we have one of those stories coming up today as well. We got a ton of stuff to get to that kind of all circles around this.
All right.
Well, let's move on to the next story, and it kind of dovetails into this as well. And this, of course, is Tesla Energy. We've heard that Gigafactory Nevada has now started to push out greater number of Megapacks to Tesla Energy to sell. And this is another story about a new battery project, this one in New Mexico, that has begun to take shape. Again, Casey and I were talking just before the show. I didn't even know this existed. This was a bit of a surprise. Yeah. And a lot of the Megapack stuff seems to be surprises. They're working within their own little circles with utilities and others. And these things just seem to pop up every once in a while.
You need 300 Megapacks? I got a field of 1,000. We can
just
ship them tomorrow.
Yeah. They've got them out back where the wild horses run around them. So there's lots of room and there's lots of packs, and they're just moving them along.
They're out there seasoning like hay.
and in New Mexico, just a short drive from Sparks, Nevada, to move those units down there. And of course, they're all designed to run as basically trailers on a semi-truck. So easy to transport, follow the roadway system, drop them off with a crane, put them on a cement pad, set them up, and hook them to an energy source, and they start working for you immediately.
I wonder if working with the utilities is as bad as working with the governments, and perhaps those aren't like surplus and they aren't seasoning, but they're really just giving them free storage as part of their contract until they're ready to get installed. Sorry. Oh, you need 300 of them? Oh, and you don't have a place to put them until they're ready? Okay, we'll hold them for you out in the desert, and then you say when, we'll throw them all on the trucks and we'll pop them in.
Yeah. Well, I got to believe it's a little bit easier working with utilities, because utilities are going to make money on this.
It's true.
Based on the speed that they're able to shave the peaks off of energy usage and level out the grid. So
this got paperwork and permits. And...
So all this is leading up to a utility being able to make money in milliseconds based on being able to shave and to add load and take away load from the grid. So I can imagine it's going to be a big plus for them over time. And maybe that's the thing with Texas as well. We know that Tesla, in that unregulated environment, is setting up their own energy company that's going to run in Texas. So maybe Tesla will have the last laugh as they start to take over the grid there, to be able to make that money themselves with the power of their auto bidder software and the battery packs that they're deploying.
Absolutely.
So we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah, that one is especially interesting because in other situations, Tesla's selling the batteries to the utilities, and the utilities get to play those games. Now Tesla gets to do it directly.
Yeah,
because I think the one in Australia, they're just kind of operating it for that provider, and then this one, it's them directly as Tesla Energy, and then whatever subsidiary company was the one that was doing the install, but was still actually Tesla.
And remember, Tesla had already installed one of those Megapack systems, a smaller one, outside of Austin. So they've been playing with it and understanding how it's going to interact with the current utility or deregulated utility there in Texas. So I'm sure they're racking up the experience as time goes along here, and bigger installations are probably in play. Next story. This Friday is going to be AI Day 2. So we've got all sorts of speculation. Patrick's
is that the Journeyman project?
I don't know. It's just
like the type of guy who picks you up by your nose if you go down the wrong hallway and don't move.
It's how we don't want AI Day to turn out.
This is true.
Right. Yeah. We don't want to be worshiping our overlords at the end of AI Day 2 on the 30th, which is this Friday. But all sorts of rumors swirling about what we're going to see, what kind of Tesla bot action we may see, what type of I guess future endeavors Tesla is going to be laying out for us. We've heard rumors about Tesla being the first use of their Tesla bot in factory settings. We've heard about it doing just even mundane tasks of moving boxes or parts around, all the way to maybe doing some assembly of different subparts. But it's all speculation at this point. And of course, what we saw in the original Tesla bot unveil quite some time ago was just a mannequin and a person dressed up as one. So they've got certainly a lot they can fill in for us that they've been looking at now for over these months. The logo that they show with the hands making a heart kind of leads us to believe that maybe it's going to be showing us some fine motor skills, maybe of a hand and fingers, wrists, arms. That nature seems something that they're pointing us to, at least in the invites. But it's going to be interesting. This is going to be another probably detailed, I guess, outline of where they're going. And of course, it's also going to be designed to bring employees in. They're going to want to have employees have interest in what Tesla's doing. And they're looking for new software engineers all over the place in order to speed this process along. So it's going to be probably a very technically dense presentation because they're definitely reaching out to those software engineers and engineers in general that they need for the production of this robot. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen.
Right. It's primarily a recruiting an event don't expect it to be tailored to people who aren't technical or to investors or any of that. It's going to be, and we saw this last year. The market didn't understand that event at all.
They were so confused.
Yeah.
And it was not good for the stock.
It was not. Right.
I expect a repeat.
I wouldn't be surprised because Wall Street tends to miss these things all, by a wide margin.
Even
it
if
just
they
seems
had
to be that they would much rather hear, well, what is production numbers of the Model 3 and Y, and how's Shanghai doing, or what's the fourth line looking like? Are you thinking about putting a third line in Berlin? Like, that's what they want to hear.
But even at an event that has nothing to do with it, like they can't stay on top.
Yep. It's got nothing to do with it, but Wall Street has got blinders on. They're short-sighted. They're looking for next quarter.
3 months sighted.
Right.
That's
how many
looking for
next quarter? How many?
And
that's right.
And I'm convinced that most Wall Street analysts don't even believe that there's going to be a robot.
Well, here's the thing. I bet you they could have a fully functional alpha robot up there that's just the only thing's missing is getting the software to just do whatever it's supposed to actually be able to do out of the box. Like, it can move, it's got the dexterity, it can walk around, and then they will still pan this thing and thrash the stock. Like, oh, well, they've got all this stuff, but it's not ready yet. And they've got these perfectly functional X-Men robots because, all the ones in Fremont are named after X-Men. Why don't they just use those good old-fashioned industrial robots that they buy from somebody else instead of building their own? They can't even lift a whole car. They only got a 100-pound limit.
Yeah.
Right.
Without thinking, what could you do with this new tool?
No, there's no visionaries in Wall Street.
I'm also looking forward to Smarter Summon.
Smarter Summon.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could care a little bit less about the new FSD.
Smart Summon Plus.
We're going to get those anyway, but Smart Summon Plus, Smarter Summon, that's something that's been a long time coming, and it sounds like it'd be kind of just released to everybody rather than like, we're going to send it to the safest drivers first. An elite crew of 1,000 people.
I have to say, I've been driving with 10.69.2.2 recently, and I love it. It is there's just a lot of little things it's finally getting right. Like in my neighborhood, it used to drive in the middle of the road, even though there's traffic in both directions. Well, now it tends to go to the right, and then there's an unprotected left out of my neighborhood, And I was just never comfortable letting it do that before. But now that it has the creep wall, I see where it's going to go. So when it starts creeping into the intersection, I know if it's going to stop at that spot. Where before I wasn't sure if it was going to go
jump
and
in the lane,
and there were cars coming, and and so just a lot of little things that are just so much better, and I'm just more comfortable with it. And I'm still very vigilant. I almost got hit last night. FSD was driving, and I got into a right turn lane. My light was green, so it was going, and someone ran the red light and was coming right at me. And I don't know if the car saw. I hit the brake, and I was like curious what it would do, but I'm not going to find out the hard way. I'm going to hit the brake.
Smart move.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and part of the reason I was able to see it is because I was using FSD, and it allowed, instead of just me trying to figure out what's right in front of me, I'm able to pay more spatially aware attention. So this car was coming like over my left shoulder, and I was able to see the light and look and hit the brake. So yeah, it's just it's getting there, and it's going to be surprising. One day we'll be like, well, of course this is how all cars should just drive themselves. The same way we don't question, elevators. Why isn't there a person driving this? No, we just push a button and it does it, and we'd be crazy to think of it should be any other way. It's going to happen with cars.
Yeah, our biggest complaint with elevators are the ones that are in poor maintenance and the ones where they've chosen a different iconology to describe what the buttons do.
You need that to be standard for sure.
Yes. Well, I mean, but they're not. It's so frustrating. So far for me, it hasn't been as nice as Elon and the West Coast crew have described, but it's the best one yet. It's smooth. It's more sure of itself. It still makes lots of little mistakes. It's not touchless for me. In fact, I haven't had a touchless drive yet. I did have a couple with 2 versions ago and one with 1 version ago, so I know it can do it, but my biggest thing right now is it's gone back to picking the wrong lanes to do stuff again. So
that's too bad.
I had a fun one where there's this guy who's doing like 20 under the speed limit, and we were coming up to an off ramp or an on ramp actually, getting off the surface street, getting onto the freeway, and the car did what I would do and tried to pass him, but the car did it in a shorter span, and so it missed the exit.
Oh no!
And it took the clover leaf and fixed it, but.
Nice.
But I was so used to this time we needed to go south, and I always go north at that particular exit, and so I didn't even catch that it had messed up until I was like, "Wait a minute, we can't get there from here." And then I saw the screen, and it's like, "Yeah, I already got this. Don't worry about it."
Go to sleep, driver. I'll get it fixed. Exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
Next story, Casey's got a story about a filmmaker that wants to spread some FUD. What's this about?
He's reaching out to find influencers who are willing to take $100 to bash Elon and Tesla. Any influencer that would be willing to do this for $100 that isn't already bashing Tesla and Elon isn't willing to. Either they're a young child that doesn't understand money, or they are just willing to sell their soul for anything. Because $100,
yeah, to flush your reputation for $100,
right? I mean, wow. All the folks I follow, even the ones that don't like Tesla, if you'd offer them $100, and they would tell you to go shut the door and don't come back. But so they want you to say how unsafe FSD is, and how what do they say? How ludicrous mode makes it so you don't pay attention, which is just stupid as hell, because when I'm doing 0 to 60 in 2.8 or 2.2 seconds, depending on which car we're talking about, yeah, the last thing I want to do is be putting on makeup or eating a burger.
You don't see a lot of distracted driving at the track.
You need 2 hands for that. It doesn't have much torque steer, but sometimes it does, and you want to be ready just in case some stuff happens, because you don't have a lot of time to react. And then the other bit of it is my argument was they must not have noticed the 1 million plus cars that Tesla has with external cameras and internal cameras that are facing the driver. And you don't even have to be in the beta for if you try to touch the cell phone or stay looking out the window too long or something, where the car will start chastising you and start trying to turn off the features. Red hands, pay attention. oh, you're in autopilot jail. You can't use this again until your next drive. That's in the stock firmware. You don't even have to be in the beta to get punished like that if it sees you and it's sure that you're not paying attention to the road.
This is kind of is this just a young filmmaker trying to make a name for themselves?
We don't know. It's probably somebody who works for Dan O'Dowd for all we know.
Yeah, that could be it too, couldn't it? But or maybe AXA Insurance. Who knows? We've got quite a few people that are a little bit out to lunch when it comes to what Tesla is doing and how safe the cars actually are. So this is, this FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, is something that Tesla has faced since its inception. Well, actually, not its inception. Since they started to be successful. That's when the fear, uncertainty, and doubt started to be spread a lot.
Oh, I'd say
they before that, yeah. But that might have been a little rubbing off on them because they were making electric cars. But definitely once they got successful, they got some of their own. This is just for Tesla.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So with all of these, you can have people saying some anecdote about whether they thought it was safe or not safe, but show the data. There are enough Teslas out on the road today that there's a statistically significant number of incidents. Show me where Teslas are less safe, where they cause more accidents or crashes, any of this. And you can't because it's not true. They don't. Right. So to say, oh, this is causing all kinds of safety problems. If it were, there would be data to show it. And you know that all the Tesla haters will be touting it out every time.
Right, and it was 2 weeks ago that the Japanese crash test came out, and we can see clearly that the child mannequin isn't run over by the Tesla.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I would trust the government.
And as Patrick was mentioning, show the data. Some of these groups are trying to show the data, but they're blocking the bottom part of the screen, or they're not showing all the data.
Exactly,
they're just showing a snippet of the data and saying, "Oh, look, there's a problem." When really the car is warning them not to do these things.
Right.
It's I don't know.
Yeah, I'd rather take the word of a government or insurance agent, insurance agency that does this test 100 times a year, over some guy who is working for a competitor who tried to run for Congress on the platform of crushing his competitor. There's bias right there, right up front. Versus these guys, they just want to make a safe car. And they may have a little bit of bias in there, but they're not out there just to crush one company. They're out there to make sure that your family comes out alive after an incident.
Yeah,
we've speculated about who's behind this, but I don't know that we know yet. So that's all just speculation.
We know the front person is a company called Destructive Driving, Elizabeth Harris coordinated.
So that's as much as we know. So the rest of, assuming it was Dan O'Dowd or AXA or whoever, that's
right.
All
allegedly, yeah. We don't know other than Elizabeth Harris who it really is.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's probably not her. She's probably just the go-between, and probably a whole other company writes the check or gives you $100 into your PayPal account or something.
Speculation, but yes, indeed. Next, Casey's got an update for StarLink. What's going on there?
So when my dish was getting packaged, it was just a couple days too early for the 1 millionth StarLink dish that was assembled and packaged and shipped out. So on StarLink dishes that were shipped out on Friday, one of them is number 1 million. And in your box, there's something a little special from SpaceX. So
is it a Willy Wonka chocolate?
That's what I said on Sunday. I'm like, I didn't get the golden ticket. In fact, I didn't even get the map, the Mars transfer orbit. Like that wasn't even on there. It's like,
aww.
Instead, I got the one telling you how to plug in the router. I'm like, could you put the on the back? I mean,
man, anyway. I hope it was a great prize. Like if you opened it up and said, "Oh, one free trip on a Falcon 9."
That would be sharp. You get to ride in the capsule. Yes, but hopefully we'll find out soon. And if you're one of the people who recently ordered a StarLink and it's shipped out this week and you got it, then you should probably, even if you don't plan to install it, open the box, see what's in it, and then put it back in the box if you were going to wait months and months to install this thing.
Yeah, because you could be the big winner.
We got the ticket, Charlie.
They got it. Yes, indeed.
But 1 million, that's incredible.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of dishes.
It is.
Obviously, their
And not all of them are weird
subscription
nerds with
amount
two in their
isn't a
backyard.
million yet. But when we see some of these installations happening on cruise liners, on airplanes,
Mhm.
other places, there are multiple dishes, especially on a cruise line. We're seeing like 8 aside
Right.
to
On
handle the
the
different sides of the ship and the
Yeah.
way that maybe it's blocking the sun, the stacks and such
Yeah.
in certain configurations.
Yeah, so the
And just the
maritime
bandwidth with that many people on the ship.
Yeah,
got that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The maritime kits come with 2 active antennas. So a lot of these cruise ships we're seeing anywhere from 3 to 16 kits. uh, and you only really need one for a smaller ship. But you know, with a cruise ship with 7,000 people on board, you know, you might want a couple more when you're trying to divvy up 250 megabits. They've just started to deploy what appear to be prototypes or first releases of the flat mount maritime kit. So that would be the ones that don't have the motor on them, like the business kit and the other ones we've showed you in the past. The high performance kit is the same as the maritime version 1 and the business kit, where it's just a V2, the square dish, but it's actually more squared. And then we've got the V2 dish, and then we've got a bunch of the round dishes out there. And some people like me have more than one. On the maritimes, definitely they all have them in multiples of 2, but most normal people only have one, and that's to get to 1 million is just incredible. I think the airlines only have one in their kits as well.
I'd like to see a little video from StarLink about how they're working, how these units actually work in a plane, where they place them, show them spinning in operation and such. That'd be kind of cool to see how they're actually using them in an airplane.
Yeah, the airline we talked about last week, I think it was JAX.
Yep.
Two of their birds have StarLink installed on them. One of them just got a new wrap job. It's got StarLink and SpaceX Mars Transfer Orbit on the tail, and of course their name, because you gotta know you're getting on the right plane.
Because they bought it, yeah.
Yeah. And so they've got one active, and it's not selling the service to customers yet, but they are running test equipment. And then the other bird, we don't know if it's got the wrap yet or not, but it also, when it does fly, it's not in any regular service. When it flies, it's testing out as well. So I expect that just like we saw somebody did the test on the cruise ship last week, we might see very soon, we might see somebody on this airline do a speed test and say, hey, this is what we got.
Yeah, that would be cool to see in action. Next, Patrick's got a story. Talk about down to earth in a community. What's going on there?
Yeah.
Is this the Austin one?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Is that what you'd like to talk about?
Easton Parks or Easton.
Yes. I'm sure I have this here somewhere. There it is. Yes, the Easton neighborhood is a Tesla neighborhood. It's got Tesla solar roof and power walls. And this is about 12,000 new homes. And what a cool community in that all the homes have solar, all the homes have batteries. Tesla had stopped their installations for a while, and now they're focusing on new installations like this. So not retrofits, but new construction. It's an important market. Casey, you talked about how early on, it wasn't real easy to get that because the developers aren't tied in with Tesla and they want to be able to install their normal roofs. But now that's all getting worked through. And so a neighborhood like this, I just hope to see more of these where you've got the sun actually being utilized and anywhere in the Southwest, you've got lots of sun. So it should definitely be part of the solution. And this neighborhood looks like it's going to be really a neat place.
Yeah, just in the Austin area, right, is where it's based.
Right.
And of course, that's Tesla headquarters now. But what I think is interesting here is a person commented on purchasing the Tesla option, which would be one or multiple power walls, depending on the customer's requirements or needs, as well as the Tesla solar roof. And they indicated that when they looked at the price of a regular roof and compared it to a new construction of the solar roof, he thought it was very economical to take the solar option because, of course, the solar is going to generate energy for the house, become near net zero or just close to it. Whereas the house also with Powerwalls could also be enrolled in the energy
PPP.
saving system for the utility or for Tesla to become a virtual power plant with the other homes in the area. So imagine that 12,000 homes signed up to that and become a virtual power plant in that neighborhood to help supply the city of Austin when it needs some peak shaving or additions, depending on what's going on with the energy supply for the grid.
Yeah, if that's the same guy that I read about, he also did just an offhand quote to see how much it would be to get the solar roof retrofit onto a regular house of his exact same installation, and he said it was like it was a no-brainer. Basically, he's like, this is a good deal.
The other thing with new construction is that the house plans can be designed for solar. Yes. They can design it that, these homes are going to face south at a certain angle and degree so that it's going to maximize solar collection. Like, there's so many things that can be added to the pie when that house is being designed to sit on that lot and to have a certain solar power roof. All those efficiencies start to roll in and save the homeowner money on energy, as well as being able to participate in having a solar roof and collect energy for yourself as a backup and become part of a virtual power wall. Like virtual power plant. It's win-win across the board. I would love more communities, and even without Tesla solar roofs, if they had to be the old panels, even that with a power wall, these should be options that homeowners can buy into from new, because so many more people would accept it and say, oh, well, you're already experienced in doing this and it costs just X amount more, and here's my 20-year layout of the energy I'm going to save with those panels installed. It's a no-brainer. People would invest the extra money to have those additions to their home. I know I would. Definitely, if I was buying a new home, it would be a no-brainer, especially if they're all designed and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to get a separate contractor. You don't have to worry about any of the fights between the current home builder and the one that wants to put solar on the roof. Like, it's a huge win to have these things available right on purchase.
One thing that concerns me is I did a little bit of house shopping where they have a package that they can put on. It's very much the way that the automakers have packages. And they're like, oh yeah, you get 4 kilowatts. It's like, well, I'm a heavy electric user, so can I get 12 kilowatts? No, we don't offer that. So I'm wondering,
lame.
Right. So I'm wondering, with the solar roof, they can kind of add more to it, but like, do you get to pick the size of the active panels, or do they only give you 5 kilowatts and then you gotta pay Tesla to rip them back up again and put active panels in? Or
the article didn't specifically outline that, but it did indicate that the homeowner could choose different Powerwall options.
Yeah.
So you could,
I think they
depending on your use,
package A and B.
You could have 1, you could have 3. Like, it really depended on what you wanted to collect.
Yeah.
And I gotta believe that there's a net zero community here in London, Ontario, close to where I am, about an hour away. Yeah. And I know that when you are buying a house there, they take into consideration, do you own an electric car? What is the roof square footage on the roof of the home you're choosing? Oh, well, if you get an electric car, we'll probably put extra panels onto the garage portion of the house, as well as the main part of the house. So I gotta believe, and especially if this is Tesla doing this, I would have to believe that they're covering those bases, that if you use a lot of electricity, you can double up, or maybe 50% add to this solar footprint of that house.
Okay, so if they go the right sizing approach, then we know you're good. And if they go with package A or package B plan, then we know they covered like 80 to 90% of the people out there, and then just weird people like
I can
us.
understand in your example, Casey,
Yeah.
that there may be a roof space issue where you're a heavy user. I've got 3 electric cars,
Right.
but yet my roof space is not big enough to handle all of that. You know, maybe
Right.
they could say, well, that's not going to work on this. But if you go to this model, you would have more roof space, and we'd be able to cover more of your electric needs. So hopefully that type of thing is going on when someone is lining up to purchase one of these places.
You happen to have a home studio? Do you work from home? Do you have an EV? And how much do you cook?
Right,
Exactly.
and this is Austin, and so I mean Texas. We've covered many times how their grid goes out in the summer, their grid goes out in the winter. So having your own solar and batteries sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah, it's probably even worth an extra power wall just to have peace of mind. I only need 2, but I'm in Texas. I'm taking 3.
Exactly. Or I only need 1, but I'm going to get 2 or 3.
Right.
Exactly. Next, we're going underground. Casey's got a story about the Boring Company and what's going on again in Texas.
You know, sometimes I just got to give you some boring stories, but this one's a little bit of a follow-up. No, not boring bonehead questions. I'm not a stock investor like that. No. We're talking about the Boring Company. So back in January, we talked about how the Boring Company was trying to put twin tunnels under Austin going to the airport. And they had offered between 27 million and 45 million of their own money to get phase 1 completed. And there's been discussions, and we haven't heard anything else about it since. Well, just the other day, Boring Company decided they were going to add an additional 15 million to the original proposal for a total of as much as $60 million for phase 1. That's 60 million that isn't coming from taxpayers. So maybe that'll be enough incentive.
That would allow them to start actually doing a lot of the tunneling project, I would imagine, with $60 million.
Yes.
But they're looking to get city approval, I guess, in order to move forward. So this is like sweetening of the pot, right? To say, listen, we'll cover these costs up front. You don't have to worry about any of it. Here's the actual contracted cost of the whole thing, but we're going to take care of the first 60 million ourselves to get this project rolling quickly and efficiently.
And you definitely need the government buy-in to be able to touch the airports. So
yeah.
I mean, you do for all of it, but like it's even more sensitive there. So maybe
they're pushing hard here, trying to get. Obviously, it started. The Boring Company having an example tunnel, a small one in Hawthorne, and of course a much larger one in Las Vegas. Would love to get a third one on the board, I'm sure. And in this article, they also look forward from just the downtown San Antonio to the airport. They talk about a really large project, which is from San Antonio all the way to Austin, 80 miles of dual tunnel.
Nice.
And their want to follow the interstate underground and give Texans the ability to travel in a tunnel system that mirrors the interstate, but of course would be at much higher speeds because they're in lanes separated tunnels with electric cars driving underground. So
better your fuel economy would be, and how many fewer crashes they'd have because there wouldn't be any the machine would be driving instead of these meat bags.
Yeah. and I wonder, like, to this point, all the talk about tunnels has been in automation of the cars, right? That they're owned by Tesla or by the sanctioning group that's going to run them, and the people are required to get in the vehicle, do the trip, get out of the vehicle. In an 80-mile tunnel, I wonder if they would allow Teslas with autopilot private cars to just hop in, and if they could be automated to that point, that they could just be part of the system and be
you show up to a holding lot, you push your autopilot, and then when it's your turn, the car just shoots down.
Exactly.
I think that would be awesome.
I wonder if that will happen, but again, we're waiting for the automation to happen. We're thinking Las Vegas is probably going to be the first one to get this because, of course, that's going to reduce the cost in Las Vegas for this system dramatically when you don't need a bunch of human pilots to be available for these conventions. So we're anxiously awaiting to see if that will happen. But it is curious that the Boring Company is pushing hard with this $60 million upfront amount for San Antonio. I wonder if it's going to be close. If San Antonio is that going to be enough, that extra $15 million, to push them forward?
I also wonder if they continue with the current setup where you got to get into a Boring Company car. I wonder if that has something to do with why they you can't buy any releases out anymore. Not just the 3 and the Y, but the S and the X can't buy them either. It's like we need all the cars back to get a reasonable turnaround time on an 80-mile tunnel. You're gonna have to have a lot of cars on both ends.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You can't just have one car that goes there and back and loops.
Yeah, exactly. Next car is in half a day.
Right, you're gonna need more than 30. But like I said, if you can pull up to a holding cell and then your car just does it on its own, that would be ideal. And if you don't have a car, then you could just give them $5 and then ride in their car.
Right. Next story: Fremont Factory. Guess what? It's the end of the quarter, and it's another end of the quarter push.
Who could have guessed?
We had said that this was going to be a thing of the past, but
we didn't say. Elon said it. None of us believed him.
There was one quarter that it wasn't really pushed, and then since then it's been nothing but push because we've had issues with the supply chain. There has been issues across the world with the supply chain, and now Tesla is warning their workers that it's going to be a couple of late days as we approach the end of September. So probably right now, we've got a bunch of Tesla employees that normally don't help push cars out or talk to customers in lots, but that's probably going on right now as we push
everybody
for the closing days of this quarter.
Everybody. We've had Franz, we've had Elon's mom, we've had May Musk out there, we've had actual mechanics that are supposed to fix your car. Like after the PDIs are done, they're gonna move from the back of the house to the front of the house. Hey, here's how you work your car. Have a nice day. And there was a contingent of people they moved from sales to service. There was a whole thing about they don't have training, but obviously, if somebody isn't at all trained, they're not touching the car. They might be working the app or reading some codes to the guy who does turn the wrenches, because Tesla's not going to take on that liability to have untrained people working on your car. But those people are back in sales now too, because all hands on deck. I bet you even the guy who does pours the cereal in the bowl for their free cereals, he's probably like I would say chef, but this isn't Amazon. But whoever's in those roles, they are also out front delivering cars. Like they like Mark said, there was one quarter where they didn't really push it too hard, but even then they were still like, it was an end of quarter light push, and then they went back to just the regular business as usual, just all hands on deck, just mad dash. Hope you survive.
Yeah, exactly. Hope you survive.
Nothing motivates people like deadlines. So this makes sense to get people moving toward that goal. And this is really how startups operate. If you have a goal, you have everybody swarm on it to get that thing done. And Tesla is no longer a startup, but they still have that culture, which is one of the reasons they're so effective.
Hopefully the AI team either finished their work before they got pulled onto the line, or they were exempt, because I want that smarter summon.
The Summon Plus.
I'm curious what next quarter is probably going to be. Exactly. Next quarter is probably going to be even worse than this, because it's a year-end quarter.
End of year.
Yes.
Yeah. And they want to impress and hit those numbers to end out the year. So fourth quarter push begins Sunday. So get ready, Tesla employees. It's going to be a wild one for sure.
It's going to be even more hard, because you've got a couple of cars that qualify for the incentives that start next year, and they'll be they'll have people on the phone trying to convince you to pick it up now. Like, hey, do you want to risk us raising your price before the situation happens? Do you want to go to the back of the line? Because they switched it right now. Like, you used to be able to kind of just hold and hold and hold. Now, if you hold too many times, they just take your money and say, all right, get in the back of the line. Not your like order fee of $5,000, but your deposit fee of up to $100 or $500, depending on what car you're ordering. Yeah.
Next, we got a story out of Louisville, Kentucky. And the Tesla paparazzi came up with this photo of a Tesla semi that apparently has been used in a runoff road test somewhere near Louisville and then loaded onto this trailer. But an off-ramp road test, for those who don't know, when you've got an interstate that runs through, say, some hilly areas or mountains, you've got a breakdown lane sometimes on the descent of a mountain that goes off to the side, and they fill it with different varieties of gravel and dirt to slow a vehicle down. So when you go into this breakdown lane, if the truck has no brakes, it starts to plow its way through the dirt and gravel, slows the vehicle down naturally as it starts to go up the hill again, and eventually will bring it to a safe stop. And of course, these are all throughout the US and Canada, these breakdown lanes for tractor trailers that are running in mountains or large hills, just as that safety feature. So it looks like the semi is going through some of these testing in these breakdown lanes to see how effective or how the electric motor handles that type of abuse in those lanes. And of course, as we know, with a trailer and such, you've got that extra weight behind you, pushing the vehicle even harder. And of course, Tesla has indicated that the semi will not have to worry about jackknifing, which when the trailer starts to go sideways behind a tractor trailer. So some of that testing is probably being done here as well.
I mean, you can't get over physics, but there's some stuff they can do to catch it before it gets out of hand. I like that their safety culture that they have on the passenger cars is translating into the commercial vehicles. To do these breakdown tests is not cheap, because you've got all the regular crash testing stuff, but then each of these lanes to repair it after you use it is anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000, depending on how much damage you do to the lane, how far up you go, and where it is, and what the engineering is on it. And this is something that the Tesla Semi will need less than a regular Semi, because they've got regen braking. They've got because they've got regen braking, their regular brakes are cooler, and so it's a lot harder for them to lose the main brakes on top of whatever regen they've got. But that safety culture says that, hey, we don't just have to say, hey, we've got this and this is what we can do, but now we need to see how much repairs is the vehicle going to need after the incident? Is the existing infrastructure enough to actually slow our vehicle down with a fully loaded trailer? Because remember, with the EV, you get an additional 2,000-pound bonus of carrying capacity. So no one's done this before, and it's important to try it out and make sure in real life rather than just simulations.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely. So good to see that they're progressing on this, although it has been slow, hasn't it? We still haven't seen that first semi delivered to who we believe will either be PepsiCo or Frito-Lay in Modesto, because of the chargers already set up there, but still waiting. And that poor Pepsi leader who said they were going to have it last year, boy, he's really eating crow now. But it's almost been a year since he announced it was coming. So we can't wait till that vehicle actually goes into the hands of some companies, so we can start seeing them on the roads.
We've seen some movement in that area. The question is what we've been seeing sufficient for them to do deliveries, or were those yet more internal? And because just because you've gone through everything you need to make it for customer delivery doesn't mean they don't deliver them to Tesla Inc.
Yeah. Next case, you got a quick story about Shanghai. What's happening there?
So Shanghai, they have increased their output yet again, and so that's led to shorter delivery times in Australia. They've already got 1,000 of them delivered, just like that. Boom. And
awesome.
They've got 11,000 more orders that were placed in the first week of the orders being available alone. So they've already made a dent in that. But now what's going to happen is, now that people see them on the road, oh, what's that? Oh, can I sit in it? Oh, can I ride in it? Oh, I'm getting one of these. So
right. The more Tesla sales, the more Tesla sells.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to see though that again, Super Shanghai just continues to outperform, and of course that's helping nations that they're shipping product to. In this case, Australia. So more Model Ys get out quicker, more shipments. We saw in earlier quarters, extra boat shipments of 5,000 plus vehicles per boat going out. So again, another plus for anyone that is in that region ordering a vehicle. Wait times are down. Perfect.
Yeah.
Next, Patrick got a story about the entire U.S. and their charging infrastructure.
That's right. So this is coming to us from Tasmanian. U.S. Transportation Department approves EV charging plans covering 75,000 miles of roads. So if you are in one of the 50 states, Washington, D.C., or Puerto Rico, your plan has been approved. And I actually read the Oregon plan, and it was very thorough. It wasn't just looking at, oh, we'll put them every 40 or 50 miles on the interstates. It was looking at elevation changes, weather, population density. It was a very robust plan. And I also even sent in comment to our local Oregon Department of Transportation. Oregon is a weird state. We've got some liberal parts and most of the states conservative. And so there were some people that were talking about what a horrible plan this was. So I wanted to make sure the right voice was heard about how great this was. So the White House has announced that it's approved 35 of 50 state plans, and that was in September. And now we get to say that they are all approved. So the cool thing is that every state is going to have some very particular distinct needs. And so the states, there was a guideline from the U.S. Department of Transportation about what to consider, but the states got to make their own plans. And a lot of them looked at they compared notes. This is not a test. You can cheat and look at and take all the good ideas someone else has, make your own. So this is, let's see, by the last line here is by 2030, President Joe Biden wants 50% of all new cars sold to be electric or plug-in hybrid. So to do that, you have to have a robust infrastructure so you can drive coast to coast. And right now, unless you're in a Tesla, you don't have that. So this helps get us there.
Yeah, we were having a discussion in one of my groups about there was a news article that came on, and the guy was saying how nervous he was to take his electric Jag to evacuate from Florida. And I pointed out that I've evacuated at least 5 or 6 times, sometimes in my Model S, sometimes in my Model X, sometimes in cars that are owned by Tesla. I didn't think anything of it. I just charged up the night before, and then on our way out, we supercharged, and it was easy. But after some of the stuff we've heard about the older infrastructure, I would be concerned as well. But with this, that would, if they can do it as well as Tesla's done it, that would be a no-brainer and brings about a certain kind of future for us.
I really
That's
hope.
right.
I really hope, as Patrick has mentioned, that the states that aren't too experienced with it have cheated and got together with fellow states to indicate, best practices and such. I hope they've looked at all the different requirements, such as having a place to rest that's open 24/7, that has restrooms, that has food options. Besides just elevation and things of that nature, that's very important.
Restroom, a trash can, and a squeegee.
Yeah,
amenities. Yes,
we had a Drive Electric Week event happen last Saturday, and there was a few people talking about how they were nervous about having an electric vehicle traveling across the country and not really knowing if where they were going was going to have a charger that was working, that was not blocked, or that was in a 24-hour safe area. So, we know that some of the early infrastructures, some of those groups weren't even thinking about those options. And there are questionable chargers out there when it comes to safety, when it comes to being open 24/7 or having access to a phone line or help or restrooms. And it's something that that I hope all the states consider as their plans move forward.
All good things to think about. Yes, so that we can move into our future free from fossil fuels.
Exactly.
We started on superchargers. We ended up on everybody's chargers.
That's right. Yep.
Full circle.
Full circle. Well, with that, we would like to thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up. Press that subscribe button if you haven't already. Through the week, you can follow us on our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life or our Facebook feed, The Tesla Life #1. And with that, Casey, any shoutouts for this week?
Yeah, I finally started editing some videos again. None of them were worth putting on the channel, except for on Sunday, YouTube cut me off. And so I had to end up putting a little more. I think it was technical error because when I got the recording of the show, like the screen share portion, it was at 1 frame per second. So it was like a 12-hour video, even though the show was only 3 hours long. And so I had to I had to do some editing to get that all back in, and then I put it up as a one contiguous show rather than a part 1 and a part 2. Because I find nothing more annoying than you're off doing chores, listening to somebody talk, and then you got to go find where part 2 is before YouTube does the autoplay and put you somewhere else entirely.
Definitely.
Yeah. But you can find that at youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN. I recorded a little something on unboxing the StarLink high performance. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I might just talk about it. I might just put it in one of these shows. I don't know yet, but I've done an unboxing, and I think I might just kind of put that up like as a short or something, because how many people have seen the business Dishy?
Nobody.
Point. Yeah.
Like not many people. Or you've got both of them, so you could just put them side together, show the differences. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Next, Patrick, what do you got for shout outs for us here at the end of the show?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And last time on the show, Mark, you asked me a question. How many times did my local utility use my virtual power plant? And so I blogged it. You can find that at carswithcords.net.
Perfect.
Yeah, that you can see the answer there. I called it my virtual summer. The interesting thing is, in total battery usage, it was about the same as my Model X. They used about 1 Model X worth in total over the whole year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over that period of time, and that was the whole summer, or was that spring as well?
Actually, so they started doing some tests in January. Those were pretty small, but then when they got to July, they were using it for real.
Okay.
Yep, and those are all in there.
Very
Definitely.
good. Very good. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Jim, Derek, Hockey Day, JT. Thanks so much for joining us in the chat room and participating. And we appreciate you all. And we'll together next week, we'll get together and find out what's going on in the Tesla life.
Stay positive. Test negative.
Thanks, Lee Moon.